Once again, we're back. This is Sir William L.
And this is Sartorial King.
Caviar for breakfast, champagne, bubble 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 bath.
Yes, sir. We're back with our special guest this week.
Yes, we are.
We're doing great. Happy to be here.
Glad we're here. Glad you made it. And you're able to spend this time with us today. We're going to introduce you guys to our viewers, to the people that will be subscribing after this. And also, we just want to give a beautiful introduction. So this gentleman here that is sitting, I don't know what screen side he's sitting when we record this, but this gentleman here that is a guest, his name is Mr. John Vizzone. He has had a tenure, 25 plus years with Ralph Lauren, also a creative director at Schiffinelli, and also has just a serial entrepreneur and has a beautiful bed and breakfast in Cape May, along with his wife, Sandy, who is sitting beside him. And we are just glad that they are a part of Caviar Conversations this evening. So we want you guys to just tune in for the questions, and of course, feel free to comment once this is uploaded. And we want to have a beautiful session today. So,
yes, sir.
John, you're here with us.
Nice to be here.
Yes,
I'm really happy that you guys invited me to be part of this program, which is really exciting, and happy to share my experiences and just talk about fashion and things we all love.
Thanks for being here, John and Sandy. We're glad you guys can make it.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
So we're gonna dive right in. Will, you can start, brother.
So I mean, there's so many questions I want to ask, but I'll start off with this first question. Where was your first start in menswear? Like, how did it all start for you?
It really started, I started with Macy's as an executive training program. And I did that for a year. And then from there, I became an assistant buyer in Brooks Brothers, buying odd trousers and sport coats. This was many, many years ago when Brooks Brothers was really Brooks Brothers and still owned by Outline. And that was an amazing experience. And then from there, I met, Alan Flusser has this love for Brooks Brothers, and a friend of mine was friendly with Alan and said, why don't you come and meet Alan? And that's how it started.
Okay, all right. So I'm just going to, for my viewers, if you do not know, Alan Flusser, menswear, bespoke suit guy. He's beautiful. You'll need to look him up. Also, he outfitted Michael Douglas in Wall Street. Am I correct?
That was my first project. I did Wall Street with Alan, and that was my first real, I was blown away when I met Michael. And that was great. It was a great experience, and making the clothes for him, and Terrence Stamp and the whole group were amazing. So that was a really fun experience.
So John, let me ask you, was there a point when you worked on a movie set that they gave you like, this is what we need from you, or did they just give you free reign just to do as you please on set when it came to the costumes? The
costume designer is really good. For some reason, her name escaped me. They came because, it was the 80s, so everybody was on Wall Street. It was about the braces and about, custom clothes. And she loved what Alan was doing. And she came, and then she said, Michael, come by. And really, she let us go. But Michael had an opinion, and he knew what he looked good, and he knew what, like, he talked about how he was going to wear his hair, talked about the watch he was going to wear. So it was, back then, it was much more, I don't want to say guttural, it was more real. It wasn't so, now everything has to be so perfect. There was a little bit more freedom and looseness about fashion. And the movie, no one ever thought the movie would be that much of a hit or that much of a success. I remember laying out ties and shirts, and I remember it literally like it was yesterday, but it was an amazing experience. And I really did. I can tell you a little story about when Michael first walked in, but we can, if you want that, I'll share it with you.
Please do.
Okay, so we had this beautiful shop. I'm sure you know, it's on 52nd between Madison and Park, right across from, what was that restaurant, the French one? It's an amazing location. So doorbell rings, because we were not on the street floor, we were second floor. Doorbell rings, I open the door, he says, guy's there, and he says, hi, I'm Michael. I said, hi, I'm John, nice to meet you. Of course, it was Michael Douglas. And I can tell you exactly what he was wearing. He had a Burberry rag and sleeve trench coat on, black Ray-Bans, didn't take off the sunglasses. He was, this was the same guy who was in Streets of San Francisco. So if you know that from many years ago, his hair was like perfect. He came in and he said, hello, Michael. And then he walked in and he said, this was the first thing he said. Am I supposed to get my own fucking car?
Are we allowed to say?
Can we say that? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Am I supposed to get my own fucking car? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I never really had to get a car for you. But he was great. And then from that point on, it was just a really fun experience working with him. And it was great.
Yeah.
So, when Alan, was very much in tune with, not in tune, but he really, really supervised the fitting and stuff. And for me, I was brand new, so I didn't know that much about fitting. But it was really a crash course, and it was amazing. And again, I never knew the movie would be what it became.
Yeah, that's
wow.
I mean, it's a mega film. Anybody that knows me knows, like, Michael Douglas is one of my favorite actors, and also the line he says, "And buy a decent suit."
Yeah.
Like that.
Go
to Morty Sills, tell him I sent you. Like that scene right there.
Yeah. That was
great.
Bud
Fox just open like, what is he talking about? But it's just he needed to up his game. That was all. But Michael Douglas, definitely, that's a major first film to do as well.
Right. Were you like a little nervous at first?
No, not at all. Because I sort of, there's one thing, ignorance is an amazing thing. When you know so little, I was not starstruck or anything. I just thought he was a cool guy and happy to meet him. The only one who was a little, Terrence Stamp, because I really didn't know, I didn't have the information I have now about film or the education on film. So I didn't really know Terrence Stamp, that he was such a huge hit in the 60s. So he had a little bit more of an ego than Michael did. But I was impressed with sort of his whole demeanor, Michael's demeanor, and the way he presented himself. I was really, really thought he was so cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's funny, I still remember the tie patterns. I can almost tell you the fabrics from the shirts to the pants to the ties. Amazing.
Wow.
One little funny thing is he doesn't have big shoulders, so we taped shoulder pads onto his shoulders. Okay, now I'm telling secrets.
Douglas was everybody.
But anyway,
now everyone's gonna look at the film like, does he have sloped shoulders?
See, and he's like, nah, okay, that's enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
Well, before we even move, what are you guys drinking this evening?
This is a rosé, Whispering Angel, the Palms. So it's very light. It's sparkly. It's a nice summer wine, but we've just had a mushroom tart, so that's why we're drinking.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Well, everyone knows on this show right here, I love red wine, so I'm doing a Dark Horse double down red blend. I have my aerator on it just so I don't have to air it out. And it's funny you said rosé because
you know what's so crazy? Everybody knows William L. loves a rosé.
Oh, okay.
I love
to try this. Whispering Angel.
Very good.
But here's the thing. Tonight, I got a sweet red. I stepped out of my comfort zone.
Very nice. Very nice.
I got a Viola rosé, semi-sweet. From what I'm told, it's a good dessert wine, but a good first course meal wine as well. So I'm going to try this tonight.
Very nice. Enjoy.
The rosé.
So, John, during your tenure, at Ralph Lauren, what was an obstacle that was reoccurring?
I can tell you, it it was a real, it was a very, very, very difficult place to work. And I was there 25 years, but it was, Ralph has got amazing taste, and, it was a tough job.
Yeah.
But I grew and I was treated very well, and it lasted for 25 years. So it was a very good run. I guess really the main obstacle, and answer to your question, is there's only one obstacle in working for Ralph Lauren, and that is to please Ralph, period. Yeah. Nothing else really matters when you're there. Whether it sells or not is insignificant. It's only to please Ralph. As long as you please Ralph, and Ralph feels that you're talented and have good taste, it's a home run. But that's really the main obstacle, or the one thing that one has to achieve working there.
Wow, that's a great segue to my next question, which would be, working with Ralph Lauren, I'm sure you picked up a lot of technique and style from that standpoint. So how did you feel having your own line in Barney's, and what was that relationship like?
Well, the best day, I had a really amazing day. One of the highlights in my career, I was in Vegas in the Barney's, which was across the street from, I think it's in the Palazzo, there's the shopping area. And I don't know if you've ever been there. It's a really nice store. And on the wall, oh no, sorry, it wasn't Vegas, it was San Francisco. And on the wall, it said Ralph Lauren, and right next to it, it had my label, John Vizzone. Wow. So that was like, the kid arrived. So that was amazing. And I had such a respect and love for Barney's, going back from the Pressman, because, I like Gene and I like the Pressman. So it was really, for me, like a life goal to be in Barney's. Unfortunately, it ended quickly, and that was the sad part. And I cried when they closed.
Yes.
So, Barney's, the thing about Barney's is it sort of like, it's like the Wizard of Oz. It makes dreams come true. Nothing better than being in Beverly Hills on a Saturday and watching the people come in and shop. You see actors, you see everyone, the cars coming in, and it's like, this is really like, you've arrived. So that was an amazing experience.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, Barney's, from an aesthetic standpoint, is the closest to who I am. There's a minimalness with a decadence that sort of it represented. And I feel that was really about who I was. And the stores were beautiful. In Ralph Lauren, it was really about just putting clothes on top of clothes on top of clothes on top of clothes. And in Barney's, you put one shirt and they'd be like, oh, that's perfect. It's in the perfect place. Nothing else on the shelf but that shirt. So it was a complete different, but it was fun. And I still keep in contact with most of the people in Barney's that I worked with. So I do miss it though.
Yeah. Wow. That's a major piece of real estate as well. Like, missing a major shopping store. I mean, I don't know what's going to go there now, but just that's such a staple on Madison Avenue, Barney's.
But the problem is that in general, that all of Madison Avenue, if you look for any real estate now, so many of the stores are vacant. It's the face, and this is not part of the virus affected it, but the face of retailing in the last couple of years has changed so dramatically. And we all buy everything online now. Unfortunately,
yes.
You buy online. Mm-hmm. You can return. So it is sad and missed, because that was always a fun experience. You don't really go into stores anymore. So I do miss
Very
that
true.
part.
Very true. So I'm assuming here, but we'll see right now when I ask the question. So could you describe, and once you describe, if you could get into like what this conference is so that the viewers will know, can you describe Pitti Uomo in 3 words?
Sure. Peacock, Italian, Florence.
Okay, so now could you get into what Pitti Uomo is for people who do not know?
Pitti is really, if you're a small retailer, and if you're a major retailer, really if you're a small retailer, it gives you a sort of panoramic view of Italian men's fashion, everywhere from shoes to jeans. So it enables you to basically shop every Italian manufacturer in 2-3 days. So it really, and it's, it's It's Italy. So there's a million show-offy people, and the weather is beautiful in the summer. And it's just, I can tell you a funny story about Pitti if you want to hear it. So
Go,
Please.
let's go.
Yeah, okay, so
we talking.
when I was
John has many funny
yeah.
stories.
So when I
Let's
was
go.
doing designing for Schiafinelli, we stayed in a hotel right by the fair, and the owner of Schiafinelli, not Lorenzo or Massimo, the owner who owned the license that I was designing for, you know, I'm in the lobby waiting to be picked up. So I said, well, where's our car? I don't see a car. He goes, oh, there's no car. There's just a Vespa. And I'm like, what? I said, I can't put the helmet on. What am I gonna do? It's gonna mess my hair up. So I was like, are you serious? So, and then on top of it, this dude sung opera. So we put the helmet on, we're on a Vespa, it's a beautiful day, and he's driving through Florence singing opera at the top of his lungs. So that's my version of Pitti. It was so much fun though.
Yes, and I can see the cafes and the food and.
Well, I am also, you know, my first agent when I was doing Purple Label was in Florence. So I spent 10 years of my early career in Florence almost every month. But the summer is dreadful. It is so hot and so crowded, but it's a beautiful place. Not to give the downside.
And that's another thing, like the traveling and going back and forth. How did you manage that? You know,
it was great in the beginning. You have to realize in the last 6.5 years, I was traveling almost 350,000 miles a year. So it did at the end wear me down. It started beating me up. I couldn't, you know, I was in India, I was in Singapore, Azerbaijan. There really isn't a place I haven't been. And at the end, it started taking its toll on me. It's very, very difficult. But I love traveling, and I love, you know, seeing these places that I've never been. So the next question would be, what is the best place you've ever been?
I was thinking it.
Go ahead.
I was thinking it.
And answer his own question.
So go ahead, and that's for you and Sandy. Yes, both.
Yes. So I think for me, the most inspiring place was India, and I dressed. You probably know it is one of the kings. He's of Jaipur, and
Yes.
He's a polo player. And we spent time in the castle, and I dressed him. And that was, being in India was probably for me one of the most amazing places I've ever been. I love India. I love Indian people. I love everything about their culture. It was the most amazing place I've ever been.
Beautiful, beautiful.
We got invited to his New Year's Eve party, and Sandy didn't want to go, but having dinner, you have dinner with the king.
Who wants to go with the king?
Yeah. I did make one mistake though. I sat in the throne and I quoted on Instagram, "It's great to be the king." And they said to me, "You've overstepped your boundaries."
Whoa.
That came down real fast.
You were enjoying it too much.
Yeah.
Sandy, how about you? Is it India as well?
I've never been. I didn't go to India. I would have to say Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh my God. We went on safari. It is literally the most amazing thing I've ever experienced.
But what part of Africa though?
Well, John was working, actually, he was working with Ralph Lauren still at the time, and they were doing the Olympics. So we went to Durban, South Africa, because that's where the Olympic headquarters was. So from there, and when he said he was going to Africa, it was a place I always wanted to go. And I'm like, I'm coming, I don't care what, you know, I'm just coming. So then we went on safari, and we were in this little place, St. Richard. It was the furthest north in South Africa you could go, not like maybe 2 hours away from Johannesburg.
Okay.
And it was seeing all the animals and the chain of life.
We saw the big five the first day.
It was just amazing. And we had this great little cottage that we stayed in right in in the rocks, and you could see one wall was all glass. You could see the animals walk by. I mean, it was fantastic.
It was beautiful.
Now that is where I was going to ask. Like when you went on safari, you were scared. You weren't scared at any time. That.
Oh, are you kidding me? I was so scared. My adrenaline was so high. I lost 5 pounds.
Yep. But you have a gun. You have a gunner in the front. A bushman, not a gunner. A bushman in the front of the what they were, those like Range Rover Land Cruisers.
The Land Rovers, yeah.
Okay, you're in a Land Cruiser, doesn't have a roof, no doors, and you're going through safari, and the animals are everywhere. And it's not like going to like the zoo.
Yeah.
You're in their territory. It's scary.
It needs to be on everybody's bucket list. To go on safari really is the game changer in your life.
Amazing. Wow. And the light in the country is just fabulous.
Wow.
All right, there we go. Now I'm bucket list.
So let me ask you this: transitioning from fashion, you guys started a bread and breakfast called the Hugh Inn.
Yes.
Which is beautiful. I went on the Instagram page. It looks great. It's in Cape May, right?
Yes.
So
we're in one of the collars right now.
What you say?
We're in one of the collars.
Oh, wow. Okay. Like the background's just marvelous.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
So let me ask you, Sandy, you probably can answer this question.
Yeah.
What inspired the decor and the menu of the Hugh Inn?
If you're familiar with Cape May, but it's an old Victorian seaside resort. It was actually one of the first seaside resorts in the country. So where we are right now in the center of Cape May, it's all old Victorian homes. Our house actually was built in 1883. Ooh. And it's haunted. So when we came, it's haunted. So when we came in here, there were a lot of old things, like from the 1800s. The old piano that we have, some of our tables.
Light fixtures.
The light fixtures were original to the house. They were once gas. And John and I, our natural aesthetic is modern, like ultra modern. So we had all this modern furniture from our last house. So we decided that we were gonna just marry the two. So we incorporated both the Victorian and the modern, and we came up with this modern Victorian look.
Wow.
It's a funky, like there's a little bit, it's a kind of a funky French and English mix with Italian, high-end Italian furniture. And literally some of the pieces, like behind us, there's a little coffee table that is originally stamped older than the house. Yeah. It's like 1800s. The piano is from the late 1700s. So we painted it, but it's 1700s. So we've got, and you know, we share a house with ghosts, and they're here. Yeah. Sometimes they give us a hard time. For the most part, they're okay.
The whole family.
That experience at first, finding out that your house was haunted.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
We knew when we bought it. I actually didn't sleep the entire night the first night we were here. I was scared to death. But you get used to the sounds and the weird happenings.
Yeah, it's a change of temperature from the ghost, and also what will happen is doors will
move.
Doors will be open and closed. You'll see a shadow. You don't actually see a ghost per se, or I haven't. I've seen shadows, and it scares you like insane.
And we've had some of our guests tell us the same.
Yeah.
So I know it's not just us.
And we have a woman who's doing a book who's going to do a story on the house. She's going to stay with the story because of the paranormal that's been going on. And the little doggies, they're really, they see ghosts more than we do, so they go crazy.
Yes, little Napoleon won't go in certain rooms or he'll bark his head off.
Yeah, this is Prince
Like
Napoleon.
he'll just stand near a chair and just bark.
Wow.
You're like, someone's sitting in that chair.
So he's like your little ghost detector.
Yeah.
Ghost detective. So I don't even know if you guys recognize. So you're going from 650 Madison
Yeah.
to 653 Washington.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that.
Both presidents, and with the three, both 6.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's
What is the
amazing.
coincidence?
That's funny.
That's a coincidence, or was that's not deliberate?
No, we had no idea. It's really funny because the story of how we arrived at buying this B&B, we bought a huge piece of property with a tennis court. We were putting a pool in, all the animals. It was amazing. And
The animals.
a month.
It was bird sanctuary.
And bird sanctuary was next door. A month into it, I said to Sandy, I cannot do this. I cannot be here. This place is driving me crazy. For example, I fell asleep in the back on the property, and two
Turkey
vultures were coming down to eat me. And I was like, this is it. I'm out of here.
That's true.
Vultures.
That's the true story?
It was a little
They have like a 6 foot wingspan.
It was a little too country.
Yeah.
So then we decided to sell that house. We were only in it for about a year, less than a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we decided to buy a bed and breakfast. Too young to retire, had too much energy not to do something. And this is something that I always wanted to do.
What was it?
So it's my turn now.
Was it hard, like parting with your past property?
No.
In here or Montclair?
Montclair.
A little bit.
Not for me.
A little bit, yeah.
It was our, because the house, everybody loved it and they used it for commercials and the whole thing. And it was literally a glass box and it was really designed like impeccable.
It was a beautiful house.
We sort of kind of needed a change. So, and I think life is that way. I think the more experiences you have, the fuller your life is. So, for me, it was like we enjoyed the house. It was done. It was perfect while we lived there, and we were ready to move on.
I mean, we had the whole back of the house was glass, and it was on a hill, and it overlooked Manhattan. So our view out of every window was the Empire State Building. I mean, it was really beautiful, but we stopped noticing the view.
Yeah.
So it was time to move on.
And it was very.
It was like
that was the buyer. That was what sold you on the house when you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it no longer meant anything to us. Like, our kids were grown, they were gone out of the house and things changed. So we needed to move on.
That's real. That's real.
But literally we went from complete, like everything being perfect to being a house that's 175 years old is a big change.
Yeah.
So it was a huge, huge change.
But it was going to the beach too. You're not far from the beach.
2 blocks away from the beach.
I run on the beach.
From the beach.
Yeah, the beach is great. It's just in the winter it can be a little difficult here.
It's very windy.
It's really, really windy.
But there's nothing like the summers here.
The summer's amazing, yeah.
And even the fall and the winter, like around the holidays, it's great here.
Yeah.
A lot of Victorian homes. And there's a lot of B&Bs, and everybody like really gets their house all together for the holidays. It's like a postcard, like a picture.
Wow.
Yeah.
With all this success that you guys have had, from working at Ralph Lauren to owning your own bread and breakfast, what were there any sacrifices that you guys had to make? And if so, like what were they? Like what was the changing dynamics for you guys?
For me, and then I'll let Sandy go. For me, the hardest part was we're really social, and we've been cut off socially here because there's not a lot of people that we could really sort of hang out with. But now, after being here for a few months or a year, we started now. We're meeting people, and we have friends that we go out with now. So it's become, it's also culinary. We're used to going into the city 24/7, so we miss that part of it. I think it's just probably socially would be the most difficult part of it.
I have to agree. That's probably the hardest part, because we left all of our friends, our family, and we're here. We didn't know anyone.
Yeah, and we go out 3-4 nights a week, so to go from 3-4 nights a week to be like, what are we having for dinner here, becomes a little difficult.
Yeah, it's like you can't even run out to go get sushi. Like you things you don't even think about.
Right.
It's just not here. It's that is probably the hardest. If you're coming here to visit, it's one thing. It's there because we have lots of great restaurants.
Yeah.
But living here, you just can't keep going to those same places.
Yeah, I agree with it. Listen, I tell William all the time, and he knows, like, I go to a lot of restaurants, and as I was saying before we started, I'm trying to I've been going to a lot of these restaurants with the outside seating. So I'm in the city with, a bubble coat and, gloves, but I'm making believe like it's Aspen. I'm thinking like I'm in Aspen.
Yeah.
So I said, look, we'll make fun of it, but at the same time, some have heaters, but I'll get the little hot toddies to keep me warm, with the little bourbon in it or whatever. And it's working. And I don't think we ever thought that we would be outside dining in the winter either. But I understand, like, I need to get to the city often. It revives me. It's always something new. It's always something to see.
Yeah, you need the energy. You need that.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't feel like I would move either. It's just because,
the proximity is amazing.
Proximity is amazing. New York is electric. I love my city, Philadelphia, but at the same time, it's always something to do in New York. Always.
Yeah. That's true. I agree.
I have a question. It is kind of off the beaten path. Favorite films, personally or as a couple? So if you have a film that you like as a couple, or
for as a couple, we kind of probably, if we had to, classic films, we pretty much watch classic movies almost every Sunday. So we do everything from the Hitchcock.
That's our favorite, I think.
We also love films from the 60s.
We got to get into. We have to get into that, Sandy. We're gonna get into that in a minute, but keep going. Down.
So I would say is our favorite is To Catch a Thief. With Cary Grant and Rear Window. Yeah, that's probably.
All right, that's what I wanted to talk about.
I don't
Rear
know
Window.
That movie, or I just love the way she looks in that movie, Grace Kelly.
Yes.
Philadelphia girl.
Philadelphia girl.
I've said this in almost every interview. For me, my most favorite film that was the most inspiring is Purple Noon with Alan Delon. So for me, that was my game changer in terms of fashion, and I just never saw anything so beautiful as those clothes. You've seen that, right?
No, I know of the actor. I've never seen the movie.
Oh, Purple Noon, you have to see it. You'll become obsessed.
The movie Talented Mr. Ripley was a remake of it.
You
have to see the original.
Well, that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you like the remake, the original, literally, Alan Delon, the way he dressed.
It's a beautiful film.
In the movie, well, what happened, just to go and fast forward, he was a poor guy and he became obsessed with his friend. He murdered his friend and took his wardrobe, but everything he had on in the movie was perfect. So you've got to see.
So I got to definitely check this out. All right.
It was filmed in Italy and France, so the backdrop of the movie is just gorgeous.
Wow.
Yeah. So hold on. So let's backtrack. So you said Rear Window. I on Hitchcock films. There's definitely. I'm a movie buff. I'm a heavy movie buff. So like my mother and I would sit and watch movies endless, and Rear Window was like that for me. People say, "Oh, Psycho." I'm like, okay, Psycho is good. But I feel like that's low on the totem pole for like the intellectual thriller, right? But Rear Window, I think everything was caught in the face in that film. It was all about the face.
And one room.
In one room,
One room.
what's my man? What's his name? Raymond Burr, who's the killer across the way, and Stewart, who's in a wheelchair the whole entire film, but yet you are scared that.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
on another level. He was on another level. And a lot of people don't even know that's Perry Mason later on. Raymond Burr is like, he's a young Perry Mason.
Add to the list. Those are 2 movies I have to add to my list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
you should.
Well, what you could do is just Google Hitchcock. You could watch every
Every
Hitchcock
single
movie.
one.
Okay.
I mean, even To Catch a Thief.
Yeah. Dial M for Murder.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Let's mix it up. This is either or time. So if you need to take a sip of your wine or whatever, this is the time because we're about to get into either or. Right now, I have some either or questions for you guys. Okay, so let's see. I answer these as honest as possible, fast as possible, just so we know it's coming from an honest place.
Sure.
And
Scare me.
it's going to be real quick but fun. All right. Either or, colors or all black?
Black.
Black, agreed.
Black. New York or Paris?
Paris.
New York.
Paris, no comparison. Not even
I'm
an
not a
Yeah,
Paris
there's
lover. I hate to say I'm probably one of the
There's not
only
even a
people.
competition there.
Okay.
And John knew
He said
I don't
Paris.
think
Paris.
about
And
that.
I'm gonna just be honest. I love Paris. Paris is beautiful. Purple Label or Black Label?
Ooh, Purple Label.
Well, Black Label because I created it from inception. So
Ooh, that was, hold on, everybody. I'm just letting y'all know that was a stunt. That was a stunt right there. The stunt is when you just throw out something like, look, I created it, so of course I'm gonna love it. So hey.
But you created Purple
no, but I
Label
was going to
too.
leave the company at the time, and that's why I stayed.
Oh.
That
And
was
I
it.
created the
And
logo.
that was-
everything.
So you have Black Label. She's going with Purple Label. Okay.
John, I love the modesty, John. Like, no, I just created it.
Yeah, I just created it.
I just created it. So I'm gonna go.
Yeah. All right.
You told me to be honest.
Yeah, be honest. Be honest. We real on here. Brick pizza or Philly cheesesteak?
Wait, I didn't hear the question.
Brick pizza or Philly cheesesteak?
Ooh, pizza.
Brick oven pizza. I don't really
Ooh,
love Philly
Sandy,
cheesesteak.
I'm surprised.
I know, but you know what? I'm also Italian, you know? So
Yes. Okay. All right. I got you.
Is this
I love
brick
your
oven-
honesty. There you
Is
go.
this brick oven pizza really that good?
Depends on where you get it.
Okay.
John and I are good at pizza
We've
snobs,
literally
too.
traveled the world trying pizza, but if it has the best pizza I've ever had in my whole life is in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Yeah, Raza.
Raza. He
Raza?
researched it for 10 years. You can't get in, but Raza, Google it.
Raza. Yes.
Okay. Wow.
The best pizza I ever had in my whole life.
All right.
I gotta check
Stay
that out.
there. Raza.
Raza.
Jersey City.
Okay. Jersey sub or Philadelphia hoagie?
Hoagie.
Hoagie.
Hoagie. Hoagie for both of you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. I like that because I came here and I said, I want to go get a hoagie. Somebody said, hoagie? A sub? And I was like, oh man, I don't ruffle feathers. Okay. Cashmere or silk?
Silk.
I have cashmere on, so I'll say cashmere.
Another stunt. That's another stunt. There you go.
What makes me itch?
Caviar or cream?
Caviar.
Caviar.
Both.
Both. Good choice.
Great answer.
All right. Spring or fall?
Fall.
Spring.
Okay. Flip it. In terms of a collection, spring or fall?
Oh no, fall collection. You get more to work with. Spring is much more difficult. Fall is much easier to create something, hands down.
Okay. All right. And Sandy,
Fall.
fall. You like
Yeah.
fall looks better?
I like the clothing. Yeah. Everything about it.
Okay. All right. Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
Morning person.
We're the complete opposite.
Complete opposite.
We've been together 40 years. I don't know how that.
Opposites attract.
There you go. Somebody has to balance someone, you know.
Right.
Modern or traditional?
Modern.
Modern.
Okay, it definitely, I would say with the back, you know, in the decor, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mountain or beach?
Beach.
Yeah, I think I walked into a wall with that one.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's gonna say beach.
Yeah, I was like, what, coming out my mouth, I said they're gonna say beach.
Well, both our families are from the south of Italy, so our natural inclination is always the beach.
Okay, all right. Bagel or baguette?
Baguette.
Baguette. Hands down.
Baguette in Paris is the only way to go, right?
Oh, listen, I tell people when I went to Paris, I woke up one morning, every morning, even if I had a night out like late, I still woke up for the fresh pastries every morning.
Oh yeah.
And one night I'm coming back from a party or something like that, and I saw someone with a baguette in their hand with no bag and a bottle of wine, and they were just, you know, I guess going home. And I said, I'm gonna get one. So I went and got a bottle of wine and a baguette and got some spread, and I went back and cut it in half, and that was like nothing like it, especially with red wine. So
That's all you need in this world. I love the little baguette carriers that they have. Did you ever see people walk with
yeah,
them?
I've seen people with that as well. Yeah.
With their
it's-
bread on their back. Love it.
Wow.
Okay, so I don't have anything right now. I don't have anything right now because this is so overwhelming. Like in terms of so many different things. I do have one question before I kick it to William. Just in terms of like your cuisine style at the Hugh, you know, what was like something that drove you to say, okay, this is what we're gonna have on the menu for breakfast or for dinner or for lunch?
Well, right now we only have breakfast. We serve breakfast for our guests. We're opening a restaurant. And the restaurant we're gonna have a proper chef there. But
Yeah.
I'm the one who slings the hash in the morning. And what I did is I picked recipes or dishes that I like. So we have a shashushka or a Dutch baby pancake. So what I did is I kind of went on all the websites of the other B&Bs in town to see what they were offering for breakfast.
And to beat them at their game.
And I picked it up. So I wasn't going to do what everybody else was doing. We needed to do something different. We needed to set ourselves apart from everybody else. So that's our dishes. What we serve for breakfast are a lot different than what everybody else does.
Yeah,
It's just
the
stuff that we
breakfast
love.
is a total hit. And it seems like people love it, and we've had the guests rave about it. And on top of that, we're trying to do something really creative with the restaurant, which is called Jardin at the U. And that's
The French word for being garden.
Yeah. And that's plant-based. So we'll have,
All of it.
well, pretty much there'll be one chicken dish a night, mostly fish and plant-based,
Yeah,
but
lots
no
of
red
it.
meat. It's mostly, yeah, it's plant-based. So it's really interesting. And it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, our chef is trained in French cuisine. He worked in quite a few French restaurants. Lebec Fin was one of them in Philadelphia.
Oh,
And
that's throwback. Lebec Fin. That's throwback.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Wow.
And so now the food for the restaurant will be French, sustainable, and local. So he sourced everything locally.
We do local too. Well, basically everything we serve, we buy farm fresh eggs, we buy the bread locally. We do almost everything we can from within a certain, because it's also part of how close to get the food to the house so you don't destroy the environment.
Yeah, the footprint.
The footprint, sorry.
And it's easy to do that here because there's a lot of farmland around us. So we have the beach. Cape May is kind of weird, it has a lot of different personalities. And then part of Cape May, there's a lot of farms. So it's easy to get a lot of fresh produce and vegetables in the summertime,
Yeah.
especially.
Would you say that the breakfast menu is an inspiration of New York and Paris put together?
Oh, it's an inspiration of
Our travels.
like
Yeah, yeah.
everything. Yeah.
From Africa to
Yeah.
everywhere we've been, and that has been really inspiring is really the kind of things, London, we sort of hit on all, and the people go crazy for the breakfast. Sandy does the cooking, I do the serving, and Prince Napoleon helps me. Some people like the dog, others don't.
The dog is always with us. It's part of our thing.
Hey, he's like the mascot for the bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So everyone knows them. Everyone gets to know them once they arrive.
Yes, they do.
So what's the feeling that you want your guests to leave with once they've had the Hugh in experience?
You go first.
Okay. Soon as the guest walks in the door, I greet them with a huge hello, and my only objective is to make them happy, to make them feel as though they're staying at a friend's house. That's it. Bottom line.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And they do. We've had guests send us flowers. A woman bought me a necklace.
Wow.
It's just, they come here and they feel so. We try to make it feel warm and welcoming, and I think we're doing a pretty good job at it. Obviously, if people are sending us gifts, and our reviews have been really, really good, so I'm happy.
That's also crazy. I'm sorry, my bad. Will, go.
Continue.
Oh, you was going to say something, Will?
No, I was going to add to what Sandy was saying, but that's fine.
Oh no, I was just going to say it's crazy that I know we were talking, and I just assumed during the COVID-19 and the pandemic, and you guys opening or starting the business during that time, that it would put an influx of. So
we sold out. It's amazing.
That's amazing. That's what I'm like.
We sold out.
I mean, we did have some downtime, more than usual, I think, this certain times of the year, but we were new to the business here. We actually will be here a year in March. We bought the house on March 13th. COVID hit, they shut down the town on March 19th. So we're like, what did we do here? But the summertime was actually pretty good because, for a number of reasons, because people weren't traveling like they were looking for places that they can go within just a couple of hour car ride. So we got a lot of new people into town that never were here before and discovered us. So that was one good thing. And also the fact that they didn't want to stay in any big hotels. There aren't a lot of big hotels here in Cape May, but they felt more comfortable in a place like ours, which only has 8 rooms. So it's easy to distance. So I think that's why we did well.
For an answer to your question, to add to what Sandy's saying, for me, when people come here, they want to sort of live in our world.
Yeah.
We have an amazing contemporary art collection. We have funky furniture. So it's like they step into our world for a few days, and we sort of have to perform.
Yeah,
we have to give it. So it's great, but you do give a lot. You give a lot of yourself, and it doesn't stop. Like, the questions start really mild, and then before you know, when they're leaving, they're like, "Is this the right suit I'm buying?
Yes.
Do you think this color works?"
Oh man!
So it never stops.
It never shuts off.
I will sometimes.
Maybe we got a little too friendly at that point.
Yeah,
but.
Sandy is better at the guest. I will perform when I need to, but then it's my own time. So that part, it's literally like having guests at your home 24/7. Sometimes you don't realize it. You got to be careful. You're walking out of your room and it's like, oh, the guests are there.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird sometimes.
Has there ever been a moment when you come out like, oh, I forgot we have a full house this week?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
Especially when you come.
It's really funny because when we first started, to give you a really quick funny story, we never did a B&B before, and we didn't realize we're kind of responsible for these guests. guest.
John, I don't know if you should say.
No, but just really funny. So we fell asleep and we're like, we're going to sleep. They called the cops. They're like, we don't know what, they locked themselves out. So now we know that we don't go to sleep until all the guests are locked away in their room.
So they were out late. They were out late?
No, well, you know what happened? We had just started the business and we were exhausted because you're on your feet 24/7. You're running around doing, cleaning, cooking, whatever, and trying to make sure everything is okay. That when we finally got a minute to sit down, we both fell asleep. And it wasn't like it was late. We just,
it was pretty funny.
It was.
No, I just love the transparency, by the way. I love the transparency just for the people need to know, like, people that own businesses, they're tired, but we want to give you the highest extreme of service, but this is the realistic part of it,
Reality.
Yeah. So it's been fun. It's fun giving something of ourselves and our experiences and the stories.
Rewarding.
Yeah.
We've met a lot of really super great people.
Yeah, totally.
So that's a good part about being here.
So let me ask you, what inspired from working and living in New York to start a B&B, a bread and breakfast?
Well, what had happened is I was still doing Chippinelli when we bought this. And I was
the other house.
The other house. And I was assuming I was still going to be traveling. And then when we decided to sell the house, the week, I think it was March 11th, that we actually closed on this house, the pandemic hit. And I still had a couple projects, but everything stopped. So, we just were thrown into this. And fortunately, I think God was was sort of over our head and just took care of us. We coasted through this whole thing. And I'm not just not getting sick, but being, it was financially rewarding for us as well.
Yeah, I never would have thought that.
And so we lucked out pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
At some point you have to sit back and kind of reassess your life and see where you want to go. And, there's chapters. So living in Montclair and John working in the fashion industry, things were changing. So that had to be a chapter that we closed. So then we went on to something else. And living here is actually a much simpler life. In the same breath, though, it's, it could be challenging. It also can be very rewarding. It is a huge change, but we wanted to make that change.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been super, super exciting. So what you guys both with your partners have to come for a staycation. They call it.
You already know that's not even the word.
Yeah, we'll give you definitely the
come on
down, and we'll make sure that we're going to bed on time so you get your rest.
We don't lie.
And we'll take you to all the chic restaurants. There are some cool restaurants here that are really 5-star, so it'll be fun.
Yes, and another reason, we definitely wanted you on. We wanted to showcase, because I have a lot of friends, I have, married friends, couples that want to do little getaways and, necessarily can't go or fly anywhere. They just want to shoot somewhere and they just need some place to decompress and, and get away. So this is so perfect because they'll get, first of all, they'll get the aesthetics of a beautiful home, the hospitality, and they'll get the beach.
Yeah, on the beach.
Yeah.
There's a lot to do. It's fun.
Yeah,
really
there's
fun.
lots of there's wineries here.
Well, yeah, see, that's right there. You winning me right there. That's
a big plus right there.
That's an A+. Wineries. And just to let anybody, this is the most southern tip of New Jersey. Like the very bottom.
Well, it's really
it's
interesting when you go to the very tip, which is called the Cove, where the surfers go. Well, the Cove I thought was the most southern point of the point. Anyway, it's where the Delaware and the Atlantic Ocean meet. It's kind of will blow you away. It's like, this is it. And it's pretty amazing. When you go out on the boat, it's amazing. It's beautiful. Okay. The water is beautiful and the light is very nice here.
Yeah. And on Cape May Point, you could dig for Cape May diamonds.
Wow, really?
Yes. Well, at one time they actually, the Native Americans used it as a welcoming to people who came to the land. by boat or whatever. They did it for trade. They were considered valuable.
Wow.
The only place you could find them is here.
So
They're
that's a little
clear stone. They
learn
start off
something new
in
every day.
Delaware. By the time they tumble here, they're clear.
wow. So that's a little history of Cape.
Yeah,
A
a little
little
history.
history. I feel like a tour guide.
Well, no, and that's good. You know, when you have guests, you say, "Look, did you know this little tidbit?"
Mm-hmm.
It lets them know what.
Yeah.
No, they don't really want to know that. They want to know where we got the chair.
The
chair.
restaurant.
They don't want to know about the fun
So
stuff.
they can reimagine their homes.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys have any like tips, John or Sandy, for getting into fashion, John, or starting a bread and breakfast, Sandy?
In terms of starting in fashion, I think, if one has the passion for clothing, I think it can be an amazing career. It's very hard, it's challenging, but the rewards emotionally are amazing. So advice, go to Parsons, go to Savannah School of Design, start out with a nice school and just hope and work your hardest. And then there's always room, even what's going on now. I mean, I think the world of retailing is changing and the world of fashion is changing very quickly, but I think there's always opportunities and new ideas are sort of always welcome. So it was a great career, and I still do made to measure here, but that's beside the point. I love it. I love it. As far as the hospitality, that's more Sandy's dog and pony, so I'm going to give it to her.
Yeah, to start off with something like this, you have to have a passion for people, entertaining. It's interesting because I was a stay-at-home mom. So to fill up my time, well, I did manage to cooking blogs.
Yeah.
So all of my, what do you call it?
Culinary.
Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. All of my passions that I did, my hobbies that I did around the house, the cooking and the entertaining, we would throw parties, all came in handy to do this. And I never thought that, but it was like my training. Like we would have sit-down dinners for 24 people just on a random Saturday night.
Sandy's the star here. She makes this happen. I sort of go by her lead, and it definitely is rewarding for both of us, but she's definitely the star here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the wife, she makes everything better.
The better half.
I was going to ask, just in terms of, curating a fashion show and making sure that every piece comes out looking aesthetically beautiful and coming out in the way it should be and tailored the way it should be. Could you give our viewers and just us some knowledge on like the preparation it takes to have everyone coming out looking exceptionally clean?
It is probably.
Can I just say something before you do this? Because I have been to many of shows that John put on, whether it was for Ralph Lauren or even Chiffonelli. And I don't think people realize the work that goes into putting on that show.
Yeah.
And it's stressful because I've been backstage and watched the chaos. You think you have everything and things go wrong at the last minute. You just have to work with it. And John is pretty good under pressure, I have to say.
I did learn one of the things about doing a fashion show I learned from Ralph is you really have to stay calm. So you really become very focused and become the center of the storm. And Ralph said to me, they're not going to like everything. You can only do what you can do. You put it out, you hope they like it. It may be a hit, it may not be, but that's all you can do. But you cannot get taken in with the whirlwind. You just have to stay focused. So for me, the only advice I have is just to stay in that space and keep your head. One show, out of all the shows I did, I had one show, and this was really difficult for me because I never had anyone really style the show, because even when I was working with Ralph, I would do it and Ralph would say yes or no. It was really simple. But when I was working in Paris, they hired a stylist, and that for me was probably the most difficult time I've ever had doing a show. And someone else to come in and reinterpret my ideas. And I know creatively all the time now, but I think doing a show is, to me, I would do it for free. There's nothing that could be more rewarding and more fun. And, and I have such a I get so emotionally involved, and at the end of the show, I usually just cry because I'm just so, like overwhelmed by seeing my ideas come down the runway. It is the most rewarding and fulfilling thing you could do from a work standpoint. It's not really work because it's just so, sorry. Sorry, Napoleon. It's just so much love into it.
So maybe this is a myth, maybe it's not. You can correct me. So was there a time where creative directors were not allowed to walk out into the runway?
Oh, we were never. You never.
It was
No,
the line was for the brand, right?
Oh no. See, the way it works is really, really simple. When I was working for Ralph, Ralph walked down the runway. There was a couple times in Milan, where at the very end he'd say, "Oh, my team wants to come out," but we came out as a team. But again, It was Ralph's design. When I was the creative director for Schiaparelli, I'm the designer, so I come out.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I am the creator. I'm the one who created the line. So
yes.
I come out. But yeah, otherwise the creative director is definitely not the face of the brand. But in that case, I am the face of the brand. And obviously with John Vizzone, I'm the face of the brand.
I just remember years ago, this is when like Tom Ford was with Gucci, and he walked out, and it was supposed to be the death of him, but everything went off the shelves.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was a good move on his part.
Yeah, so that's why I was saying, is it a myth that can the creative director walk out, or do they have to kind of stay in the back? And
in the same breath, and from the Italian standpoint right now, though, especially with all the brands, like whether it be Saint Laurent, whether it be Celine, the designers have become the celebrities of those brands, especially when the creator or the one who inspired. Saint Laurent is dead, Christian Dior is dead, Balenciaga is dead. So these people have to be the face of that brand. The successful brands manage to put a creative director into that label that can see the vision, grow the vision, but maintain the same aesthetic. Like I think what Anthony Vaccarelli is doing with Saint Laurent is perfect lead off for where Hedi left off. And the brand is successful. I think Hedi going to where for Celine, he killed the brand in that sense, because I think she had something to say, and what he's trying to say isn't what she's trying to say. So I think the brand lost its direction, and he'll probably keep that job. But I mean, there's so many brands that I can think of where the person really gives the brand what it needs to live. And sometimes they kill a brand.
So that's good. That's a good segue. And I know we're getting close down to our hour, so this is a great ending. And Sandy, this is for you as well. Give us 3 of your top menswear brands for you. 3 of your top menswear brands. And then top of your 3 women's wear brands for Sandy.
I'll go first.
What's that guy?
Brenda Maxwell.
Oh, I love
Okay,
Brandon
so
Maxwell too,
for men's,
That's
I
not
would
who I
say Saint Laurent. I would say I like.
I can't think of that guy's name. You showed me a picture the other day.
Oh yeah, there's a Savage is a Savile Row designer. He now moved from London. He's my
I like him.
He's my new inspiration. So I would say him, Saint Laurent, and probably the third would be Uniqlo, which is not. I just think what they do.
Let's go, John.
Uniqlo.
I love Uniqlo, John. Yes, John.
They make perfect non-clothes that fit perfect, and the price is great. And you
Say
can
it.
mix it with really designers. So, and then for women's, for me, I would say that would be probably.
I don't even know anymore.
Well, I would say I think Saint Laurent, even for women's, is amazing. I think Anthony Vaccarelli is hitting it out of the park. I think for women, I think Chanel the last season, Sandy thought it looked old lady, but I think she was able to really capture.
Chanel, I think you have to pick and choose the pieces, but as a whole, when I see it, I always think of like my grandmother or something. Well, my grandmother didn't wear Chanel, but it looked dowdy to me, and I know people are going to hate that, but that I said that. But bits and pieces of it, I think, are great.
And then, continue. I'm sorry.
I was just thinking of the suit that Melania Trump had on.
That was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
And Bottega for women's, I think he's doing a great job right now. So I would say those.
Bottega, okay.
I've been taking his glasses.
Yeah. So those
I'm
are
glad, and I'm so glad you said Uniqlo because I feel the same exact way. I've felt that since day one, and I tell people, you know, and I'm a person that swaps out things, so I wear something high end along with something, you know, whatever.
Well, that's the point of clothes. I think it's
for
identity.
You know, and that's our moniker is that taste cannot be bought. So like if you know how to put pieces together, like I've seen, it's a picture of you, John. You got a bubble under a camel coat.
Yeah.
And then you got the pocket square in it. Like that's just knowing what to do.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. So literally the Uniqlo thing is the same thing. I'm like, their coats, their stuff fits perfectly.
It does. You're right.
Never have to, you know, get it mended or anything like that. It's just.
Yeah, you're right. It's like you put it on, you get it out of the bag, and you're like, this is perfect.
Anybody could go into a store if they have the means, like go into, you know, YSL and put the whole outfit on that was on the ad. But that's not being creative.
What did I say, William?
We just said that about somebody.
If you mix those high and those low, that's where I think you get style.
Right. Sandy,
go ahead.
Same thing. Anybody can walk into a store and say, "Give me the mannequin."
Yes.
Not many people can say, "Give me that," and let me put it together.
Right. Yeah. That's where it takes some creativity.
Yes.
Yeah. I do a lot of my people watching in Soho, like especially now with, you know, the outside dining. I just sit out there and I'll just watch, you know, different.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, just how people put coats on. I think I just saw a line the other day. There was a line down the block for Canada Goose. Like everybody was getting it. But just to see how everyone was piecing their, you know, Canada Goose with what they had on was definitely different. So, and it wasn't just with sneakers. Some people had it on with, you know, riding boots, or someone had it on with heels. Somebody had it on with this. So it was like, it gives it a different feel. But I thoroughly have enjoyed this time.
Thank you. It was very fun.
Yes, we enjoyed it too.
Literally, this is fun. You know what time it is, Will?
You know what time it is, Rob.
All right.
It's Caviar moment.
Yeah.
That's okay. You guys can toast with us, but we're gonna do our caviar as we do.
As we always do.
And
as you should.
This is just what we like to do.
We like to call this our little caviar moment.
Caviar moment. And we're gonna toast to you guys today. And our special guests and coming on and just having fun with us and giving us a wealth of knowledge and stories. And we're truly blessed by that today. So we want to give the caviar moment to John and Sandy Vizzone today.
Yes.
And you can toast with your glasses. We'll have our moment right now. Caviar moment.
Caviar moment.
Caviar moment.
Caviar moment.
Thank you, guys. It was so much fun.
Thank you.
Good.
Wash it down.
Very nice.
You didn't get your caviar.
So, in our closing statements, Will, you want to say anything to the viewers?
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank John and Sandy for giving us an abundance of knowledge and perspective on fashion and bread and breakfast. And just glad you guys were able to join us today. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for your stories of travel, of how you erected this beautiful home, you know, this Victorian home, which we will plan to come visit.
Most definitely.
Thank you.
Also, yeah, we're definitely people, we don't take time for granted. And we thank you for carving out the time today to sit with us and to build. And we want to give love to our viewers and our subscribers. Please, we're going to tag their Instagrams. We're going to tag their pages. We're also going to introduce you to the Hugh Inn as well, in the Jardin. And we want you to please book with them, send them messages, tell them where you found them, let them know. And we are proud of this format. This is Caviar Conversations. Again, we thank you. Have a great night.
Have a great
Good
day.
night.
Thank you, guys.
Caviar for breakfast, champagne, y'all for breakfast, champagne, y'all for breakfast, champagne, y'all for breakfast, champagne, y'all for breakfast, champagne, bubble bath.